Hey, today I am binding with the BERNINA binder attachment number 88 and the companion foot number 95. So the binder attachment comes in a big box like this, and then you purchase the presser foot separately depending on your machine. So this one's a 95C because I'm using this big bad boy here, and you can see here is my binder attachment. Kind of a wild big piece of equipment here. So let me show you how this works. So I started by attaching my presser foot number 95C, and I have my 9mm stitch plate on so I can move my needle position, and then also I have that dropped all the way to the needle plate, all the way down. So when attaching your binder, your machine has these 2 screw holes, and the binder is going to come with this screw. So the key, I like to close mine up. There we go. The key is to have this edge here right up against the edge of foot number 95. And I can see the openings of my screw holes. And then this part of the binder is right flush against the presser foot. And I'm just going to attach that screw and screw that in. So you can see you also have a bunch of other screws. There's these ones back here. Those can be loosened so you can adjust the edge here. And then these 2 here can also be loosened. And this one here can be loosened and moved so that you can move this freely back and forth up against your presser foot, and you can get a nice bind. So I've loosened some of my screws and adjusted this. Just see how much easier this moves back and forward to where it needs to be on that presser foot. Okay, so here's my groove that I am going to place my fabric in. Now this is a 38mm binder, and you can buy different sizes. The 88 is for just flat binding, and I'm cutting this 38mm, which is 1.5 inches. So my fabric strip is cut on the bias, and then also I have this kind of cut at a 45, just makes it easier to insert into the binder attachment. So I'm inserting that in, and then once I get that as much in as I can with just my hand, then I come over here with a pin and I just push that through. As I push it through, you see it feeds out, and I want that to be all the way inside the binder there. Grab my other hand. So that needs to be tucked in there like that. Very good. And I still like to use a pin, or you can use a stiletto to draw that through. Perfect. You can also, I always forget, I can swing it out to make this step easier. And so as you pull this through, you can see that double folds your binding so nicely. Get kind of a nice deep double fold, and this just kind of comes in through your opening here. So just gonna keep drawing through as I'm ready to sew. All right, I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna finish this edge. So I've just swung this out, right? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a nice flat end here. All right, so you can see how nice and flat that is. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to apply a little glue, about 1/4 inch all the way on that edge. So you can see I've got glue on there. It's blue. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold this in on itself, and I'm gonna finish that edge. So you can see that that's going to be folded over now. My one-handed videography here. So that's all folded over, and it will still roll and double fold for a nice finished edge. So I'm still attached to my binder. You can see that those edges are turned under. They're glued, and I still have my double fold happening. So now I'm ready to start inserting and binding my little round placemat here. So it's totally round, which makes this bias binder super fun and easy to use. And I go ahead and I just zigzag, top stitch, finish that edge. That's going to make all of this go way more smoothly, as I'm ready to do my binding. So I'm just going to draw this backwards just a little bit so I get a nice start right on the edge. There we go. And I can push this in towards my machine here, lower my presser foot. Yeah, so that you can kind of see how I get set. So as I get set up, you can see that I have underneath here that nice finished edge, which I can finish if I don't get super close. I can finish just with a regular presser foot without the binder attachment. So what I'm going to do is you can see that I have my, there's like a gap right here in the middle of the binder, and my edge is just going to go right up inside that opening here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it all the way forward here where I need to be, lower my presser foot, does a little hover action, which is awesome. Gonna get that pushed in there. Yep, and sometimes I need to have two hands, right? And like draw that binding from the back side. Just make sure that's pushed in there really well. So I've just dropped my needle down, and I'm just gonna take a few stitches, see if I like where this is. A little knot here. Ooh, I think I do like where that needle is adjacent to the fold. So as I stitch, I'm going to just keep pushing this right inside the opening of my binder attachment. And it just draws that fabric through. You can see that coming through the opening of my attachment. And I just keep sewing and sewing. So much fun and so easy. Look how beautiful that is on the front and then on the back side too. And on something that's round. So I've come to a seam in my binding, right? Because I have these pieced together into long strips, but this doesn't need to be scary. All you do is you just press that open, and then as you sew, it just feeds right in. Look at that, like magic. And you can see me over there, still just stitching away. The key is to just make sure that this keeps feeding in to the inside here. And you can see that seam somewhere in here now. It's gonna come out this other end and just sew just fine. I'm basically sewing one-handed here, but if you had two hands, it makes it easier. And then also if you had like a little awl or a stiletto, it just keeps feeding through. And I think I already sewed over the seam. I can't even tell where it is. Awesome. So I'll show you how to get to the end once I get there. Now we are ready to measure to make our end and cover it and finish that up. So what I've done is I've taken my measuring tape and I just lay that down. Nice thing about a fabric measuring tape is you can lay it down and you can measure. So it's about there's about 8 inches here. So I'm measuring it from where the needle is, kind of try to take that curve, yeah, about 8 inches. So again, on the same lines, I'm going to take that this way. Ooh, sorry. And I'm going to measure this 8 inches also. So I've already done that. And what I've done is I've cut that off, and then I've taken my glue again, and I've folded that over and glued that in. So that now has a nice finished fold. And so to finish this edge, now that I've measured it, I now have a little bit to cover this up. Now I'm just going to stitch. And I'm going to just keep going, still pushing this into the edge. Ooh, yeah. And you can see that this is going to just get sucked in there. You kind of keep your eye on it, right, to make sure that's not going to get folded weird. Kind of just push that in there with your fingertips or with, your stiletto. Yep, and that stays nice and folded. And you can actually just cover over this edge. So I'm not super perfect here. I've got that edge folded in. You can see how this is going to overlap a little bit. Sometimes I need to kind of just draw this back just a little bit. Yep. Because if it gets kind of a thickness, it'll sort of draw in. move this back just a little bit so you can see that. Still pushing that in towards my machine. You can see how that just came right out. I can even push this away now. You can see that overlap. If you have your stiletto and if you're not recording a video with one hand, this makes it a little easier. And you can even do a back stitch and finish that off. Use my little thread cutter here. Okay, exciting. And so now I have my round placemat that has been completely bound and finished on both sides. Boom. Super exciting with my Bernina binder attachment. Thank you so much for watching my video about the Bernina binder attachment, and hopefully you have a really fun time using your binder as well.